Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and Dragon Age Season 2 has officially begun. I am here. We have assembled your heroes for the next campaign, the next generation of Dragon Age RPG players. And I am excited to get to know these people and to, start conversing them and start talking about the next campaign. So we're going to begin by... going through a few icebreakers. This is just to get a chance for the players to, start interacting with each other verbally. I know that they've actually been talking amongst each other for the last couple of weeks, actually, on Skype. So a lot of these people are quite familiar with each other. But let's actually, get warmed up in the sense of interacting with each other in a Google Hangout setting, since we're going to be very tight as much as possible over the next year. So, my first question is, if you, the player, not the character, if you, the player, were in the Dragon Age universe, which race do you think you would be? Which class do you think you would be? And from what country do you think you would be from? And why?
I think you could guess mine.
Okay.
I would be a dwarf because I love dwarves. I love how their society's built up, and I think that it's a nice blend. I think of the different systems of government that they employ. So where they have a caste system and they have the monarchy, and I think Orzammar is a place where it's trying to change, but it's also mired in tradition, and that kind of interests me quite a lot. And the dwarven people, I love going into games and still playing Origins and going into Orzammar and looking around. So I would pick a dwarf from Orzammar, hopefully not a casteless, obviously for obvious reasons. But I would try to help the casteless if I was in that world. And as far as class, I would go rogue, probably. So,
back to your question about the dwarf, which caste do you think you would have been in?
I'm kind of a more creative kind of writer, so I think I'd be artisan.
Artisan.
I think it would probably be. I might be a bit like Varric. I might be like a dwarven writer or a storyteller or something like that. So I think that's one of the low-born castes. So I might end up like in an arranged marriage with a miner or a merchant or something like that.
Would you be writing mysteries like Hard in Hightown, or would you be writing smutty literature? Or would you be writing... what kind of books are we writing? Are you thinking of writing?
I want Cassandra hiding my books.
You want Cassandra hiding your books with the smutty literature? Okay. Very cool. I can see that. Well, if everybody's in this campaign shipping with each other, I can see that.
Yeah, I've already written that romance novel.
I'll put down, like Hannah's fan fiction link.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with Hannah. I've always been a fan favorite of the dwarfs. When I first played Origins, dwarf was my character. For pretty much the same reasons that she said, which is why I kind of wanted someone else to go, because I was like, no, she just took all the reasons why.
Well, which cast would you be in?
Well, my family is like a military kind of family, so I feel like I would be like in a warrior cast. I don't know if like that would transition well or what. That's just what I personally think.
Okay. You mean you don't want to be a writer writing smutty literature as well?
I would be reading the smutty literature.
Oh, you'd be reading it. But would you be hiding it, or would you be proudly reading it amongst your soldier brothers?
I'd probably be hiding it because
Okay.
they would want to steal it from me too. When you're out on the battlefield, it's very lonely.
Yeah, I can see your other dwarven brothers say, "Which chapter are you on? Like, have you gotten to the part where such and such?"
Hey, no spoilers!
That's exactly what it would be like.
And which class? I guess you said it's a warrior. Do you think
Yeah,
it'd be a warrior?
I've always I always fell into like that traditional role of like warrior, where that's always been like my first kind of go-to class, just to kind of get a feel for the game. Then like my second playthrough, I might change it up a little bit, but.
So since you said you're traditional, does that mean you, by default, your weapon of choice would be the axe, or would you be something that was less traditional, a weapon of choice?
For weapon of choice, it could really go either way. I associate dwarves with like the big two-handed axe, like that they should
Yes.
be able to hold, but they can hold it. So it could really go either way. Sword,
Okay.
shield, two-hander.
I think I would be an elf. Probably. I wish I could say for the class that I would be a mage, but I'm pretty sure I'm too emotional to be a mage, and I'd get like tranquiled real fast. Like I cry when like sad commercials come on. Like there's no way I'd have the willpower to be a mage.
Oh.
So if I was with the Dalish, though, I'm pretty sure I'd be like a rogue or like an archer somewhere like far back. But I'd want to be an elf, because a Dalish elf, because I love the sort of how like their religion, the pantheon. I love the culture. I love that they're really close to like family, and they stick to traditions. And they're sort of like this wandering lifestyle, never really in one place at one time. I like that. So I think that's what I would be.
If the person was actually a Dalish elf in the Dragon Age universe, do you think that you would share, let's say that your clan in particular is relatively anti-Shem, do you believe that you honestly would go with the crowd, go with what the rest of your clan thinks, or do you think that you would be brave enough to go against the grain, to go against what your people believe or feel?
I think I probably would be the with the crowd. I mean, it wouldn't be like hostile, but maybe scared or cautious, like really cautious, and not trusting of outsiders, but not outright like gonna kill somebody just because they're not part of my clan kind of thing.
I think that's an honest answer, because I think you would be raised that way at least.
Yeah.
Lots of influences that way. So I think that's very honest. Thank you.
Race, I'm not really sure. I would probably say either human or elf, somewhere in there. I wasn't sure. But I would say definitely for Eldin, because it's very rural, and that's where I'm comfortable. I'm in Maine, and it's very rural. There's a million people over a very, very wide area, so it's not many people here.
And you like
Sorry.
dogs.
I love dogs.
You like dogs, so for
I
Eldin,
love dogs.
yes.
Ferelden's very pro dog, probably human in Ferelden. And as for the class, I think that would be really hard. I'm not very athletic, so I would probably go with mage, because I'm very bookish. So that would be me. I'm very bookish.
Which school of magic do you think would be your specialty as a mage, and why? So we have like primal magic, we have like, spirit magic, we've got...
Well, primal's really cool, but I'd probably go with spirit in the real world.
Spirit.
Like me would probably go spirit.
Okay.
But no, primal's super cool. It's just I'm not very like gung ho like Andrea. So.
As long as you didn't say blood magic.
Why do you keep thinking I'm gonna be blood mage? Typical Templar.
Just trying to get in the character.
Rachel, how about you?
I'm going to go human, and I'm going to go creation mage. Human
mage.
because, yeah. I'm going to go. Basically, I'm in every person. I'm just one of the crowd. So human is as human can. It's as normal as you can get, I suppose. That being said, my characters when I play games are usually like the wifty elf magician who can like do normally it's something like she usually goes like elemental. So like my very first Dragon Age Origins character was like an elemental elf circle mage.
Mm-hmm.
My imagination is a fierce and wondrous thing, but I myself am a very quiet and bookish person. And so, yeah, totally. Normal human, circle mage, creation. The creation is, of course, I'm in the circle. I love my books. I love my stories. Everything I do in my life right now is kind of part of a big overarching plan to help myself and help my community find a little more happiness through through art, through laughter, through being together. I've always been about healing. My career path has basically taken me from once upon a time I was a licensed massage therapist, and then I went on through and I ended up still in the medical field. So I just love being able to give of myself and to be able to help others. So that's about as creation-y as I can get.
Okay.
Oh, place. Probably Ferelden. Yeah, Ferelden. I love me some nice rolling hills and farmlands.
We could be in the same circle together. We'd be best friends.
We should do that. We should totally do that. Out of character shipping time.
So for me personally, I'm not just like some of you have said, I'm not particularly athletic or dexterous. I'm actually quite clumsy. So I wouldn't be a rogue and I wouldn't be a warrior. I feel like I would be a mage. I'm a little bit too much of I'm not a rebellious kind of person, so I can definitely see myself in the circle. And then as far as what school of magic, I have to go with Rachel. Is I've always been very much a healer type of person at heart, so I can see creation magic with a touch of another school of magic completely that I created just for this season. There's a completely different, slightly different school of magic that one particular NPC. So it's so far it's my favorite NPC that this person specializes in. I have a feeling you're not going to expect it necessarily, so we'll see what your reaction is to that. But I feel like when the time comes and that NPC is introduced, you might know what I'm talking about. So.
Oh man, is it the power of smut?
Well, spoilers.
I knew it.
Okay. I wouldn't call it necessarily a school. It's more of a focus, but you'll see what I'm talking about. School is probably too broad of a term, but anyway, that's enough to whet your appetites. Did anyone else who wanted to specify what country they would actually be from? I don't know if everyone did. I know that, for example, by default, I guess the dwarves would be in Orzammar, for example. So I don't know if anyone else wanted to specify.
Yeah, not on the surface. No.
Not on the surface. Okay. So let's continue on and talk about your characters this time. Please explain to everybody what was the inspiration behind creating your character. Like, what was it about your character that inspired you to make them the way that they were? And some of you might have touched on this in your interviews, but I kind of wanted to, either reiterate or expand upon what you said in your interviews.
So for Halisair, basically when I created her, if I'm going to be completely honest, the concept started off as this teeny tiny little thing that I was actually going to throw as an NPC in my own Season 2 campaign, because I have in my group of players somebody who is, this essentially this celebrity who, he walks down the street and women swoon, men swoon, he's kind of pansexual. Like everybody, like he walks down the street and everyone just. So I wanted. He's got some issues with the chantry, so I wanted to throw in an NPC who was not a typical priest. And I'm like, well, what if I made like a warrior priest? Wouldn't that be cool? Because I can do somewhere between like a Templar and I could do like and then so. That was the very tiny, tiny little seed of what I might want to do. And then when your call went out, I'm like, why don't I play around with this idea? So the more I thought about the character and fleshed her out, I'm like, oh, I love this. And she ended up going in a completely different direction. But yeah, I like to explore. I like to explore the middle ground because she's not the holy warrior that the Templars are, and she's not the robed singer that the rest of the priesthood is. So I love just delving into those what happens on the in-between.
Okay, so Andrea is kind of a weird character, but I thought of her a while back. I just thought it'd be fun to play a gladiator in general. When I first came up with her, though, I was thinking an elf, because I thought the juxtaposition of a tiny little elf being able to kick butt in the arena would be pretty cool. But somewhere along the way, I was just like, you know what, Cunari are the coolest, so that's where I went. And I really like the idea of a Talvashoth in general, because they push away what they think is wrong. So I wanted to go down that route. And yeah, I don't know, I think that was essentially it. But I really like some of these people know, but I really like Roman mythology and Latin literature, and so I went that way. I had to keep it. So I wanted a gladiator, and I wanted her to be happy with her post, because a lot of gladiators they get high on the fame. So,
well, when I was looking at the caste system and the prominent dwarves that you come across in the series, I noticed that you experience the casteless and you explore the nobility, and especially if you play the dwarf noble origin, the Carter, but I didn't really see a lot about the say common dwarf, the lowborn caste, the miners, the smiths. I felt like your general citizen of Orzammar wasn't necessarily the stereotype of impoverished nor royal. They were just, but what is it like for the average citizen of Orzammar? So that was where I started to think, okay, so it's definitely going to be a lowborn dwarf. And then I got this idea of the fact that maybe this lowborn dwarf actually experiences caste racism, not in the sense of, oh, you're nothing, you live in the slums of Dust Town, but he falls in love with someone of the warrior caste, and Orzammar keeps its warriors and its higher born castes kind of sacred and wants them to intermingle and have more warrior caste children. And that idea of, well, if you have a boy, then he's a merchant. He's not a warrior. And kind of all the troubles that has in encouraging this female to marry, a higher born dwarf, and Theo to get with somebody who's lower born. So I thought of that, and then obviously I wanted this character to already have experienced rejection in its biggest form, which is loss, which is where I start to come up with the idea of his wife passing away. And as far as the poison and the herbalism, that's something that I came up with because I don't usually play with that. When I'm playing the games, I'm just like going in and attacking, and I'm in the middle of Dragon Age 2 again now, and there's so many poisons and things I don't usually use in combat. I just kind of ignore them. And I thought, well, they're there to aid combat, and what if I went the extreme and played a character that just loves using all these little combat aids and wants to do things 0.2% better all the time. And so I think it'd be a really interesting challenge for me, not to just kind of go in from a combat perspective and, slash and that's it, but to go, actually, I could make a toxin that makes this particular weapon stronger, that sort of thing. And so that was where the concept of Theo started to come together.
My concept for Kenna came from, the reason I chose Avar first was because we don't really know much about them. They're just like, it's enough to know a little bit about them, but they never fully explain anything, and a lot of the research that I went into, I actually had to go and look stuff up. It wasn't just readily available. And I really liked that I could sort of play on that unknown for my character and sort of come up with it on my own, I guess. And I really wanted a pet too, so that's why I really wanted something to take with me. So I was hoping you would let me carry the whole bees, and I got my bear, and I'm so excited. Yep. And he's adorable.
I think my inspiration for this character spawned from Dragon Age Season 1, or at least a lot of it. I've always kind of liked the idea of Templars. You mainly in the Dragon Age universe, you see the bad side of the Templars, oh, you blasted mages, or we're gonna kill you because you did something wrong, or make you tranquil because you did something wrong. But I think there was a quest in Dragon Age 2 where you see these Templar recruits, and they're just no, we're just trying to do this to feed our family and stuff like that, or something like that. And I was that's the side of Templars that I kind of want to see more of. And then when I stumbled upon your campaign, I was still kind of on I wonder what it would be like to be a Templar. And then I watched your campaign, and I was well, my Templar would do this in this certain situation, and then this. And then from that, I just kind of built up the idea of my character in my head, and it went dormant for a while. But then when I saw that you were oh, it's time for Season 2, and I was all right, time to bring that Templar guy back and just see what happens.
Before I move on to the next question, I want to start putting people on the spot.
Oh.
We're going to start with Hannah.
Ooh.
I don't already vote first and second.
So Hannah, let me begin with this. So I believe that there were, was it 14 finalists? Or 12? I forgot how many there were. I think there were 14 of you. I want to say that there were 14 finalists, I think. Let's assume that was the number. But if people remember, one of the things that I had all of you do was select, I asked each of the candidates, pick the 4 other people that you would want in your campaign, which other 4, and of course that was a very difficult decision for many of you. Hannah, you were the one everyone chose. Everybody
Really?
picked you, and you were almost the first one. You were almost the first one. Everyone picked you.
Oh my god.
And I was and as soon as I saw that, I'm yeah, that's Hannah's in. When I saw everybody wanted you in their group, I was Hannah's in. There's no even, you can move on now.
I can't believe that. Oh my god.
And there were a lot of, there were a lot of people who were on this panel where most people picked them, but you were the one who was consistently, yep, Hannah. And it makes a lot of sense because you carried yourself from the very beginning, like from not only your initial interview, but during your initial audition video, but your interview as well. You just carried yourself in such a way that was mature yet fun, that was serious yet quirky, you know. And I think that a lot of people gravitated towards you because they thought that you would be someone that was a very good anchor for the group. Sort of like a, I'm not sure how to put it, because you definitely have a very friendly personality, you're very approachable, and I think that was like, you would be a really good base for the group, which is very, I think, poetic, because you're playing a dwarf and dwarves are known to be grounded, anchored.
Yeah.
And I think that encompasses at least your, not necessarily you as a person as a whole, because there's more to you than that, but just in general, your role in this campaign, I think, fits you very well, and that's one of the major reasons why I picked you in this campaign.
Wow, that's flattering, and I mean, thank you. You know, people watching this, that if they were one of the finalists, that, I mean, thank you. That's so overwhelming to hear. And yeah, I do hope to bring that forward for the campaign. So.
You're very welcome. I'm gonna move to Kimberly next.
All right.
So Kimberly, with you, it was all Spock. He was the one who got you. As soon as I was like, all right.
That's why I picked me.
That's all.
Yeah, I actually did say that to you, didn't I, Kimberly? I said, yeah, it's Spock. He did it.
My sister watched it and she's like, it's kind of cheating having the cute dog in the background. I was like, I didn't mean to. He just doesn't leave.
You know, I just left the door open. I put a couple treats right next to me. Treats next to me on the bed. And Spock, what a surprise. I didn't expect to see you here. Now every single Dragon Age, like season 3, people are gonna start, you know, bringing their pets in, or at least borrow. They'll go to their neighbors and be like, "Hey, can I borrow your dog just for an hour?" Just sit right here. Hi, this is my dog Charlie.
This is my hamster. This is my lizard.
Yes. I contemplated trying to get Andrea a little dog, like a little tiny dog, just to explain his presence. I was like, then he can role play with us.
You're gonna have a bear. You'll have a bear.
That's perfect.
There's gonna be a. You don't want them to fight. Yeah, you don't want them to fight too much. So, if you were asking me to squeeze out another reason why I picked you, I mean, obviously, the fact that you have an acting experience, you know, definitely was enticing to a lot of people. Of course, I don't want that to be the end-all, be-all. You know, whether you have an acting background or not, everybody, I think, should have an equal chance to get in. But I just loved how positive you were, and you really helped to elevate the entire Dragon Age Season 2 selection process community. You know, I mean, you were very good about, and Hannah was very good about this too, like reaching out to people, commenting on people's videos. You thanked me after the interview. You actually gave me an email to officially thank me, which, you know, again, I don't think you did it in a way to try to butter me up or try to, you know, swing the vote. It was a very genuine thank you, which is what you normally would do after, like, a job interview, for example. So I was very impressed by that. And again, all these people are now taking notes for Dragon Age Season 3. Thank the GM after the
Handwritten card. Find out his favorite chocolate.
No, but again, like, from when I first saw your audition, not even your interview, when I first saw your interview, and I actually showed it to a few other people were like, "Oh, I'd be shocked if she wasn't going to be in this game." Capitalishly shocked. And then when I went through the interview with you personally, it just solidified it. So thank you for auditioning, Kimberly. I'm very excited to have you here.
Oh, no problem. I auditioned in the first place because Dragon Age Season 1 was the reason I started roleplay gaming in the first place. So, yeah, I hadn't actually done it up until then because I live in such a rural area. There aren't enough people around.
Yeah.
So I found Roll20 through you, and that's how I figured it out. So when I heard you were doing it again, I was like, yes, Hark's doing another one.
Well, thank you for putting yourself out there. I think we're all glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm moving on to Sam next. All right. So Sam, let me explain something to you. One of the biggest things that I look for when I'm going through this whole process is I look for chemistry. And chemistry is definitely just as much a platonic thing as it can be a romantic thing. So there are many cases, not only in this season, but also in Mass Effect, where people gave amazing audition videos. And not that they were amazing during the interview, but when I start interacting with them, it takes a little while for some people to get that connection between me and them. For some people, it just clicks, and for others, it takes a little bit of time. One thing that I noticed immediately with you, and I can probably say this, you did this better than everybody else across the board. When you and I started talking, like for the first few seconds of our interaction together, it just clicked. I was like, Sam and I are like, we're like, the chemistry is there. Like we work off each other very well. There was like an immediate rapport between the two of us. I felt like there was like there was a respect in that. I felt like you treated me as a GM, but you also treated me as a peer, if that makes sense. And that's what I was looking for, because some people I know, and you were like this a little bit at the beginning, but it was fine. Some people might be a little intimidated. They're like, oh my gosh, Angel Arts is talking to me. And I'm like, I'm just a normal person. but thank you, though. So, but no, like you treated me after the first, like almost immediately, like you treated me as a person. And I appreciate that a lot. And then from there, it just, like the rest of the interview process was just so smooth. And I was like, she has to be in this campaign, because I think that there are certain people that you just click with, and I'm like, I think I click with Sam very well, and so that's one of the main reasons why I put you in this campaign.
Oh, cool! Thanks. I clicked with you too.
And can I just say as well that having spoken to Sam like over the past couple of weeks on Skype and stuff, you are just generally like that. Like you speak to everybody equally. You don't alienate or isolate anyone. You're just so friendly and funny and great with everybody. And I think that's a really admirable trait.
Oh, shucks, guys. You make me blush.
Rachel, you're next.
Hello.
So I think that of all of the players here, I believe you're the most experienced.
We like to call it old. It's okay.
My teeth with my nose.
I like to use the term seasoned, not old. Seasoned. Like a fine wine. Fine wine.
Thank you.
But like one of the things that I try to do is I try to have a very good mix, a good diverse cast of diverse set of players, and that means diverse experiences, because I feel like, and you even said this yourself, so I know that you have this mindset as well. No matter how much experience you may or may not have, we can all learn from each other around the table.
Totally.
Like, as me, the GM, I'm always learning from you guys constantly. I learned a lot from Mass Effect that I didn't realize until I worked with those specific people, that specific combination of people. And I know you understand that, and you bring a sense of maturity, but humorous silliness to it too. The passion is, I loved your passion, both in your, like if you rewatch her audition, like I was glued to the video only because I was like, if I felt like if I looked away, Rachel would like reach in and like grab onto my shirt, watch me, listen to every word I say. And so when she started talking about Halisare, I'm like, oh gosh, this character concept, like I'm very excited to see Halisare like in play, and it's tough for me as a it's tough for me as a GM when I came down to the decision, because one of the things I like to do with these campaigns is I try to give opportunities to players who wouldn't normally have an opportunity. Like players who, as you said, it's hard for them to find other people in their area who's interested in gaming, people who've always wanted to game, like Sam. Sam's one of those people who said, I've always wanted to play, but I've never had the opportunity to play. And with you, it was a tough call because I'm like, well, you've played so many games before. And I was debating between giving you that slot versus giving the slot to someone who, hasn't had that opportunity. But I felt that I've provided that opportunity to the group as it is. And I felt that you would bring a lot to the table, not only to teach all of us, but again, for all of us to learn from each other. And that was one of the reasons why I put you into this group. So.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right. And now we go to the token boy. Before I had any of the interviews, after all of the auditions were done and I picked my top candidates, I was almost positive I was going to end up with all girls. I was almost positive it was just going to be all women. And Kevin could probably agree with this, that all of the girls were just bringing it. They brought their game. And I felt like even if it ended up being all girls, I don't think any of the guys would have not seen that coming, would have been surprised, at least. I don't think any of them surprised, because all the girls were just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add some diversity into the group, because having an all-girls team is fantastic. I have nothing against that at all. But I think it's nice to have different genders, different races, different backgrounds, anything as much as possible. Only if it felt like, that person should be here. And all of the guys, like I had so much fun talking with many of the other guys. For example, Evan, I loved Evan, and I loved Mark and all those other people that I ended up interviewing with. I think the thing that really got people very interested was when you started talking about your first kill in your interview. That got a lot of people. And of all of the interview videos, you had the most likes. I don't know if you saw that, but you had the most thumbs up.
I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh.
And that was not that somebody who has the most thumbs up is the end all be all to being in a campaign, but it's something I definitely have to pay attention to. And so you were the viewer favorite. And a very good majority of people wanted you in their group when I asked them, who do you want in your group? And I don't know, you're just such a laid back kind of person, which I felt would get along with anyone, and that's definitely something that I look for when I'm picking players. And I just think that you and your character would play off of everybody else so well that in the end I just had to put you in with the rest of the ladies. Hope you don't mind, Kevin. No. You're surrounded by the ladies. So, thank you, Kevin, for auditioning at the last minute.
Thank you for considering me.
All right, so now that I've finished putting you all in the spot, let's move on to more of the core questions. So the next question I want to ask all of you is, out of all of the other PCs, which character do you think would be the most interesting for your character to interact with, and why? Or which character are you most excited to interact with, and why?
Cedric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm most excited.
Yeah.
Cedric. Because I'm a mage and he's a Templar, and I think that's gonna be really fun.
It's really fun.
I'm not just a mage either. I'm a mage that ran away from the circle. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm excited to see the differences between Andrea and Cedric versus Delwyn and Maximilian, because I know that you guys don't want to do a retelling of Delwyn and Maximilian, so it's not going to be naturally. It can't be Delwyn Maximilian 2.0. So I'm very excited to see what the difference are going to be between.
I'll actually do a +1 on that.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric's also my choice, just because it's the entire. It's Halaser's walking the middle between Templar and Priest, so I'm really interested to see where their paths work together and where they split.
Yeah.
So I'm so stoked. I'm especially add a mage into the mix, and I just can't wait to see what's going on.
Yeah. From I was gonna say the exact same thing, because I feel like Cedric comes from a very traditional aspect of the Chantry religion, and yours, Halaser, is a lot more radical in thinking. So you're both
radical.
I'm very big. I'm a very spiritual person, and I love learning about different religions. So, and I love discussing religion in great length, in a very mature and respectful way. So it would be really interesting to see these two interact with each other and find out what the differences are between their view on the Chantry religion. I would definitely be excited to that, especially considering how I think part of, and this I could be wrong, but I feel like part of the reason why Cedric might be a little bit more traditional is because he's not as seasoned. I didn't say older. I didn't say younger. I said not as seasoned.
It's okay.
But when you're younger, things are more black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It's either right or it's wrong, and you either, if you need to do this to be good or this to be bad, and I think it would be really cool to see how that gets challenged with the two of you.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we've been talking about Cedric the whole time, so Cedric, why don't you go? Who are you looking forward to most interacting with?
Well, not to be like a cop-out answer, but everyone, kind of.
Yeah, that's a cop-out answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna narrow it down. I'm gonna narrow it down. To be honest, it would probably be Theo or Theobin.
Theo, okay.
Just because Cedric hasn't really run into that many dwarves, and because, like you said, he's very young and inexperienced and whatnot. It's interesting to see how things will play out in their relationship. Will it be a Maximilian Lucky Jack kind of, or Maximilian Lee, bromance kind of relationship, or will they take sides on the mage? It could go either way, but I'm very interested in interacting with Theo.
Do you think that Cedric would have any problem with poisons? Out of curiosity.
Oh dear.
That's a very good question.
Something you should probably be prepared for before the first session. What his feelings are, if any. I mean, it could be he hasn't formed an opinion yet.
I think he would be fine with poisons as long as he wasn't using them to evil purposes. Oh, I don't like you, I'm gonna poison your drink, or if it was a combat sense, what Hannah was saying before, I want a character that can poison their blade to do more damage, to help the group.
Okay.
I feel like he would be more accepting in that terms, but if she was poisoning random people just because she doesn't like them or he doesn't like them.
So if you were if you and Theobin did end up having a bromance, and then, you know, one evening you're at the bar and Theoben might put a little something something in your drink.
We don't know that would be poison.
And the next morning you wake up and Theoben's right next to you and you're wait, what?
Cedric might have a problem with that.
Only a little one, though.
Just a little problem.
It doesn't have to necessarily be little. Come on now. Give Theoben some credit. It doesn't have to be little.
I would prefer to our Skype chats, but I'm not going to.
1 year, folks. 1 year. Move each other with 1 year. Okay. Who would like to go after that? Okay, Sam. Sam's going after that.
Okay. So I'm most excited to explore Kenna's Avar religion versus the Chantry religion. So I think Halisair would be really good to interact with.
Huh?
Just to see whether they're accepting of both or they're having hot debates. Like, your gods can't be real, my gods can't be real, if your god's real at the same time kind of thing. Or if they're totally accepting of one another. So that's what I'm interested in doing.
Very cool.
That
Very
sounds
good
like to be a
point.
lot of fun.
I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Okay. I think it would be really interesting to see how Theo's relationship with Kenna develops, because Kenna represents kind of everything that Theoben secretly fears. It's the outside, it's nature, it's the surface, it's Avar are very into the Lady of the Skies, for example, and Theo's relationship with the surface, not that he's ever been there, obviously, kind of a bit rocky, a bit uncertain, and so it would be interesting to see if getting to know Kenna, that reaffirms his belief that the world is kind of a scary place and nature could hurt you, and I don't know how he'd feel about the bear, considering it's probably going to be at least size, if not bigger. He might get sad on one morning, I don't know. And I just think it would be really interesting to see how those two interact.
Awesome answers, guys. I love how I don't think any of you had, exactly, oh, I would like to go with this. I would like to interact with this person, and that person would like to interact with me. I like how you all kind of went in different directions. It was very cool. Okay, my last question is going to be this is the most important question that I ask prior to any campaign in every session 0. And that question is, I want to know from each of you, what are you looking for? What are you trying to get out of this experience, both from the campaign itself and from each other? I think that if we start with that, so everybody is aware of what each individual person is looking for, specifically from the campaign and each other, it helps me, it helps all of you, so that it's something that we can keep in mind throughout the year.
Well, to start out, what I'm looking for in the campaign is a better, more experience with hardcore role playing. Like I've said before, I've played many tabletop games before, but they were all like 90% combat and intent. Like, you go into town and time to sell your stuff and buy like new things, and like that was like really the only interaction that I've done. So I would like to dive more into my character.
Oh, you will.
And
trust me.
And dive more into others.
Cedric. Oh, you will.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it will be a great experience for me. It'll grow me as a person and a player. What I'm looking for, like with everyone else, is just more people to play with, and like more friendships. I've stuck mainly with playing with the group of friends that kind of taught me, like that showed me the ropes. and they're great, and I love playing with them. I still play with them all the time. But
course.
it would be good to expand uh, my friendship my friendships within like the gaming community and such.
I'm looking for a couple things, I guess. First of all, you can never have too many friends. I love finding more people in the gaming community. I know you've probably seen it a million times if you've seen like my Facebook or anything like that. I have always adored the communities that you foster, Hark, because everyone here is so amazingly supportive. And then, we get to meet all of each other, and my compatriots here, and even the people who were still on the audition list, we're all still chatting with each other. We're all still in communication with each other as much as we can be, and it's just a really wonderful and supportive community, and I just love that. And I want to be able to not only partake of that, but to help build that as well. The other thing I'm looking for, I love a good story. I'm looking forward to building the inter-character relationships, and I'm looking forward to whatever twists happen to come that way. And yeah, I'm just, between the great community, new friendships, great story, this is everything.
So with this campaign, since I have no experience whatsoever, I kind of want it all.
I want it all.
I want all of it.
You want to be like
So
Eric
demanding.
from Mass Effect.
I
Just throw
want,
me in the deep end.
yeah, I want experience in like the role playing and just the general experience of playing the game, and then knowledge, the rules and what you can do and what you can't do, and your limits of imagination. I want to do all of that for this campaign. And then I guess with each other, I'm just looking for that camaraderie that you get with playing with a group for a year. We're going to be playing this, so I mean there's a special bond that's going to form, and I'm really excited for all of us to just get together and start playing and start anticipating each other's moves and sort of our characters that we would get towards the end. Like we would know kind of what they're going to do, and still be surprised in the end too. I'm looking forward to the surprises, the secrets.
Like Sam, I don't have any really real experience kind of playing. I mean, I've watched a lot of campaigns, but I've taken part in one. So again, kind of, I really want to throw myself into kind of as many different aspects of playing tabletop RPGs as I can. I'm always reading the guide. Oh, I hope my character gets to do a role for that and uses this focus and that kind of thing. I want to be very learned in the game and experience a lot of different elements of that. I also think that the story and the character interactions is going to be great for me, because I just love that. That's one of my favorite things about the Dragon Age series. It's that you can build those relationships with companions. You can observe how they grow and change, and the fact that we're all kind of controlling our own characters, but nothing's planned, nothing's set for the future. I'm really excited to see how that pans out. And from the players, I think they'd all agree we're starting to build that already, that friendship element, that we talk to each other, and sometimes about characters, sometimes about the game, sometimes about just general life, and having that support network and being able to just kind of ask questions if we need to, and just feel comfortable with each other, really, and with you as EM as well. So that's what I'm looking for, anyway.
Okay. For me, in this particular game, I was looking for the deep roleplay, because I really enjoy that. And one of the things that I haven't done yet while playing a game is cry. And I was like, if anyone can make me cry, it's going to be Hark. so I'd really like to do that. It's a weird thing to say, but it's true. It's definitely true. I want to cry while playing. And
players have made me cry too. Players have made me cry as well.
So I was looking for that because that means I'm like really into the role play. And then as the group, I've already got 5 new friends, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm super excited about developing the friendship over the next year. And um, I I can already see that we're forming real bonds, and I'm really excited about developing that more. So, and I'm really excited to see what kind of story we make together. So that's what I'm excited about. It's a big answer.
No, thank you.
Aww.
So for me, what am I looking for in this campaign and from each other? So from this campaign, I want to hopefully try to foster very cooperative storytelling. And by cooperative, I mean, yes, because I'm the GM, I have control over the bare bones skeleton of the overarching plot, but I want to try to do everything that I can as a GM to do my job properly in a way that I give you the stage and the props and the scene, but the story comes out of the players just as much as it comes out from me as well. So I want to try to make sure that I give you guys the opportunity and the tools to shine in your storytelling in a way that everybody contributes as equally as possible. I'm trying to make sure that everybody has their share in the spotlight. I want us to reach a point as early as possible to see these people, these characters as real characters, to actually start getting attached to not only the PCs but the NPCs, so that you feel when they feel pain, when they feel anger, when they feel grief. If you ever have a sense of loss at any point during the story, you genuinely feel that this place is real, and it's a nice escape. It's a nice place, like going to see a movie or reading a book. It's a nice place for you to come in and share this world with other players and actually participate it and actively affect it and change it. I'm excited to see how you guys are going to shape Thetis, because a lot of Resurgence, obviously, is the resurging of Ferelden, for example, because it's trying to resurrect itself, I guess, from the Blight, and just seeing how your characters shape it, because that's what's going to set up all of the future campaigns that comes after this. I'm excited to see what your legacy will be. And not only what legacy your characters will have, but you as the players, what legacy you guys will have. I'm glad to see how welcoming the previous players were when they brought you in, for example, to Skype. And that's both the Mass Effect players and the Dragon Age players. They're both very tight and very close. And I'm so glad that you guys saw that coming in, so that a year from now, when the next batch of players come, when the next generation of players come, you can provide them with the same welcoming and the same warmth and the same support and the same community that you guys were greeted, and probably would be better, because I want you guys, like you said, to continue fostering that and continue building from that, so that however many years, that campaigns are being done, we'll just have this big, giant, massive Skype chat of all these people from all around the world, and know that you're close with. We live in an age, as I said, when I first started doing this back with Dragon Age, I was very much against the idea of doing Tabletop Campaign through online and not in person, because I'm such a people kind of person. I want the physical, everybody in the same physical room. But my attitude towards that has changed so much, and just the capability to build these connections with people all over the globe has just been a very rewarding experience, and I'm so glad that I am sharing that with you this year. So that was a very long answer, so I'm sorry about that.